us right now to talk about that is Andrea Bozek, Communications Director at the NRCC, and Bridget Todd, Democratic Strategist. Guys, thank you both for being here, as well as starting to work here. Francesca Page is with us. Everybody, it's great to have you with us. All right, so guys, I want you to get. Bridget, I'll start with you. I want to get your reaction to that commercial that we found there on the internet.
Well, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's hilarious, first of all. And I think it really nicely demonstrates how a lot of Americans feel about our electoral process. And I think it's actually an issue where folks on the left and folks on the right, a lot of them actually agree that this is an issue that we're falling flat on. We need to do better when it comes to how we elect our representatives. And currently right now, I mean, this is how most folks feel, I think.
Well, Andrea, you know, I think it's safe to say the GOP is facing some backlash from some of the Tea Party groups here, and this ad is playing into some of that populism we're seeing more and more out there in places outside of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I think it's a great ad. It's obviously hilarious. I agree with Bridget. And you know what it does a great job of is cut through some of the political clutter, and that's what we sort of tell all of our candidates to do, is do unique ads that are going to resonate with American families that are sitting around the kitchen table worrying about how they're going to put food on the table. So I think it's a great ad, and we're going to have some great ads coming out of the NRCC. They're going to be creative like this one.
I wanted to say it also sort of reflects the current state of feeling with these younger generations when it comes to politics. But I think a video like this, ironically, is going to have an impact of possibly reigniting younger generations' interest in the elections and in politics. Wouldn't you say?
Start with Andrea.
I totally agree.
You
know, I
sure,
think
yeah, absolutely.
Clean elections don't seem like a sexy issue.
Right.
But with campaigns like this, we can make it sexy, we can make it fun, youthful, edgy.
And Andrea, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, I agree. You know, I think that a lot of our candidates and, you know, candidates across the country and our members, frankly, are going to be running against Washington, D.C., and that really resonates with folks. Folks are very frustrated with the political climate here, and this ad sort of picks on that anti, Washington sort of mentality that's going through the country.
And so, since both of you guys represent the two dominant political parties in this country, and I don't think we'll ever really get away from a two-party political system, but we might see more independent members in Congress. Are either of you, considering you represent the big D and the big R, concerned about the rise of third-party candidates?
I mean, I'm not concerned about it. I think it's great. You know, I certainly would solidly consider myself to be on the Democratic side, but I think, you know, if you have more choices, everybody wins. I think the American people are the ones who win when they can find a candidate that really accurately reflects, you know, their values and who they are. And I think, you know, I think it's great. I think I would like to see more independent, you know, third-party candidates, you know, giving it a shot out there.
And Andrea, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of our candidates and members sort of have, especially those who are running in, you know, swing competitive districts, have sort of an independent streak to them. We have a lot of candidates, especially in New York, who are running on the independence line, and conservative and Republican. So that sort of tells you how, you know, they have positions and are fighting for their constituents back home, and they're able to appeal to all types of voters.
Ladies, we also want to talk about Obama's speech. Piers Morgan weighed in on the president's speech, tweeting that he massively dropped the ball, 23 Americans killed. I'm wondering, he says that this looks like a terribly bad joke here. What are your ladies' opinions on that?
I mean, I think that it's a situation where, listen, this was Thursday, information was still rolling in. People were not kind of clear on what exactly was going on. Do I think the president was, like, perhaps badly prepped? Absolutely. But when you have a situation that's quickly unfolding, you know, that's just the name of the game sometimes. And I think it was actually very crass is to frame this in terms of whether or not it's like a gas for Obama. I think that if you are an American who was family on that flight, the last thing that you are concerned about right now is whether this is going to be egg on Obama's face or a gash in a speech. So I think, you know, absolutely a terrible, terrible tragedy, but I think really keeping those American lives and really all lives that have been lost in this tragedy at the center of the narrative is really what we should be doing.
So what would you say, Andrea, to you? What would you say? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, I think we have a part-time president here.
Right.
Every time that's these sorts of tragic incidents occurs, we can't find him. Benghazi, he was in a Las Vegas fundraiser. Down at the border last week, he was nearby, chose to have a beer instead of going down to the border to see the crisis that's going on there. He's clearly part-time president who is already going on a 2-week vacation next week. So we need a real leader in the White House who's going to be willing to work on these crisis situations and take them seriously.
All right, well, one area that the president has been willing to lead on are some of these executive actions here, and Democrats as well are really trying to restoke the war on women, if you will. Democrats are focusing on abortion and contraception. We had that bill in the Senate. Ted Cruz shot back saying Senate Democrats in that abortion bill is the real war on women. Bridget, do you think that there could be some blowback? Because we've gone down this path before, but this time the difference is we have Congressman Marsha Blackburn out there in front of this, and more women from the Republican side saying, don't start this war again.
I mean, this is a situation that, frankly, I can't believe we're sort of still talking about in 2014. I think, medical doctors and scientists all agree, we all come down on this issue on the same page. Women's access to health is an important medical issue. I think there can be sort of no debate on that. The fact that we're still sort of in a situation where legislatively folks are just trying to chip away at access to this basic medical care, I think is astounding.
Terry Lamb, the Republican Senate candidate in Michigan.
Listen,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to quickly respond to Bridget's comments. It's just frankly disgusting that the Democrats keep using these so-called war on women attacks, and why they're doing it, they're using women as political pawns because they can't talk about their agenda. They can't talk about Obamacare with women because it's reducing their access to doctors and increasing premiums. So, we're going to be ready this cycle to fight back against these attacks, and I think that's something that you're going to see new from Republican candidates coast to coast. And we're going to fight back. We're going to make sure that voters have a clear choice in this election between two candidates, one who supports Obamacare and is going to reduce women's access to their doctors and increase their premiums for their families.
And Bridget, back to you on this. Hold on one second, because I do want to mention here, this has happened before here, and it seemed to indicate maybe a little bit in your last response, your comment about you can't believe we're still talking about this, that there might be even a little issue fatigue from your side.
I mean, it's issue fatigue in that, listen, if you look at all the polling, everyone agrees on this issue. This is not an issue that folks are still sort of waffling about. Everybody agrees that women need to have access to their medical care and that care needs to be protected. This is not an issue that folks are still sort of concerned about. Even most religious folks, most Catholic women all use some form of birth control. It's not a very controversial issue. The fact that we're still pretending that it's a controversial issue, I think is really kind of gives away the state of our sort of political affairs here in the United States. But
all right, well, Bridget, we do have to leave it there. We apologize. We had some technical issues with Bridget's phone call and then the delay with Washington, D.C., but we had a good conversation there regardless. This war on women doesn't seem to be going away, Francesca. We'll be back, though. We're coming back.
We are.
Like maybe this war on women, we keep coming back and back and back. But stay tuned with us. Much more ahead here on America's Forum and on Newsmax TV coming up throughout the day. We're back with more right after this commercial break.